Hey guys, it's Jesse back at y'all with the chef knife from my brother at work. This is a 120 grit finish, and I thought that, while I'm doing my hand sanding, I've been at that mess since 8 o'clock this morning, 7:30. I would show y'all some of my process, because what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to sand it in this direction, because you've got the 24 grit belt that you just cut your bevels with the vertical scratches. And so you sand it with the 60 grit, which is what I start with, the 60 grit. And then you got horizontal scratches. Well, that puts almost as deep as scratches in it as the 24 grit ceramic does. And this is a 120. But what I do in between, because you're supposed to sand it one way, then sand it the other way. Not gonna happen that way because it's a pain to hold and sand like this. I'll put it on this fine finish Scotch-Brite belt right there, and I'll put me some more horizontal work into it. So let me show y'all a little bit of that. And what that does is it serves two purposes. See, you get them deep scratches in there, and 120 is not really that fine a sandpaper, but it lets you see them, the deep scratches. So when you go to your next grit, you'll be able to see what you've done with the previous grit. And it also puts more of these vertical lines in there so that you sand them off, and it also softens up the edges of that scratch going this way, the horizontal scratches. That way it makes it a little bit easier to hand sand. So that's just a little bit of the process that we go through. We go through this with each progressive grit, and I'll get back with y'all whenever we get ready to do the glue up. Most stressful part of any build, y'all, really, for me, is the glue up, which is why you want to use G-Flex. Kind of sets in 5 minutes, depending on conditions. And you can work it in about an hour. It takes 24 hours to cure, but it gives you a long work time, just in case things don't go the way you want them to, which just about every glue up. Which is why you want to do your test fit, which I've done several times on this, so I won't bore y'all with that. Clean everything off real good with the epoxy, or with the acetone, I'm sorry. And they have some G-Flexes different, but what I use is a 50-50. And since the resin spreads out a little quicker, I always try to do the hardener first. I have a scale, and I can measure it out exactly. But that looks pretty exact right there. We'll mix that up real good, y'all. And what I did off camera was not only did I rough up these scales, but I flattened them out super flat. Nobody wants a knife with gaps in the handle. And all of these scratches, the roughed up part that y'all seeing right there, they give the epoxy something to grab a hold of. The tang of the knife itself is roughed up pretty much the same way. And when you're doing 3-pins, kind of a good thing to put the third one in after you get it all put together. See what I mean? And I've dry fit these handles several times. They are always gonna want to be stubborn. That's just the way it goes. Kind of always want to have your paper towels ready, you know, whatever. Clean up your squeeze out. It's just gonna make everything easier for you to start with. And y'all see this little minuscule gap right there? That's because I got it squeezed from the bottom. But what I want to do is clean off my top, and then you notice I got several more clamps ready to go. Go. And guys, the rest of it's just about clean up, and you don't want to clamp the suckers too tight. You know, if your fit is good, it's gonna show. Period. And I watched one guy say, you don't want to put epoxy on this part of the knife to clean off your deal. Well, that's just BS. Because if your handle fit up is like it's supposed to be, there's no epoxy going to get up in there. You want to get all of that squeeze out right there, because that is just a big pain to get off the knife. Let it. Your wrist scratching up your finish. And you know, I took it to a satin finish, a 320 grit satin finish that looks like a 600 grit finish, really. Get enough practice with the sandpaper, you can do that. Alrighty then. And there you have it. Yeah, it's a nice warm day. And I don't know if it's my imagination or whether that actually speeds up the epoxy setting. But I always sit them out in the sun on a nice warm day, and I think it works. Might just be in my mind, because you know my mind is a funny place. But there we go, bro. I'll bring it back whenever we get time to shape the handles.